how's it going, guys? So, welcome to the start of a brand new city. We're playing on a brand new map, and as you can see, it is an island. This is actually taken from the PDX Mods store. The map is called Saint Martin by a user called BT Seminole, but I've actually made some changes to it. So, the original map, you'll notice, is just slap bang in the middle of the ocean with nothing around it, and that's cool. Like, a lot of the popular maps are like that, but for me that doesn't seem very realistic because, you know, most people just have a road going to the side of the map, like through a tunnel or something, and it seems very weird that you just get a bunch of, you know, Honda Civics rocking up on an island in the middle of the ocean when there's nothing on that island as well at the start of your game. So what I've done is essentially just loaded in a different world map around it. So now this is a bit more of a coastal island, and as you can see, we've got a bridge entrance over here, and so we can imagine that sort of wiggles its way back to the mainland, which I think makes a bit more sense. And we've also got another tunnel entrance over here, which is, you know, just going straight to that mainland. This is obviously a fictional island. I think it's real, actually. I can't remember quite where it is, somewhere up in the Netherlands or something. I think it's a Dutch name, at least. But in my mind, this is an Australian island. Because I'm Australian, and so I thought, you know, this might as well be an East Coast sort of island. We don't quite have islands like this, but you can imagine we do. Anyway, so our starting tiles are just over here. We've got a main sort of highway, like a rural highway road coming in from the, I guess that's the west. And we've also got a railway road that's just joining onto the tile. I think it's quite good because I really do like getting a railway station set up early game. I think, you know, if you want to set up farms in an industrial area, having some easy way to transport the cargo makes a bit of sense. So hopefully we'll do something with that. And we've also got our external power lines, of course. This does remind me, though, that another thing I edited on this map was the tiles, because by default this just had the grid tiles where, you know, they're all squares. And that's fine, but it gets a bit annoying purchasing some tiles, and you end up using purchasing a lot of tiles that you don't use all of. So I did actually go in and edit all the tiles so that they're... I don't know if I can show this off. I can't actually. But the tiles sort of match the terrain a bit better, which I really like. It's a good feature in City Skylines 2, and I thought I might as well make use of it. But yeah, so I thought this would be a good area to start. We've just got these mountain ranges behind us. But we've also got access to water on both sides. This is a bit of a lake, which I thought was a really cool part of this map. Can actually get out to the ocean here. And yeah, I just thought it was a pretty nice place to start. And we can expand sort of in any direction we want, you know, into these valleys in the middle eventually. I'm not too sure. I haven't really thought big picture about what this island will look like. I just wanted to get in and get started on sort of a small town, I guess. So the plans for this episode are pretty basic. I don't want to do too much. I want to just sort of get a bit of a groundwork done. So, you know, I want to get the main sort of residential and commercial area in, as well as a bit of an industrial area. I'm not going to put too much effort into the industrial area. I think that'll be a future episode. But we obviously will need that to begin to create some jobs and stuff like that. And then hopefully once we level up in this game, we can also get some basic services. And, you know, maybe a few farms and stuff just around the town. Let's get started on the road network. So like I said, we've got the highway coming in this way. I think I actually want to bring it back a little bit. And just have the road sort of meander more centrally in this plot of land rather than towards the ocean. We don't actually have highways yet, so I guess we're going to just use a medium road for this. Bring this back just a bit more. There we go, and that's our, I guess, entrance to our starting town. I think that's good enough for the moment. I just wanted some sort of main road that I can sort of build off of. So this will extend out that way in the future. So the main part of town is just going to be in this sort of, I guess, V shape here, right up against the water. And then I think I might put the industrial stuff over here, you know, towards the railway. So I know I'm eventually going to expand the town, you know, around this mountain as well. So I'm going to get somewhat of a main road coming down this way. Obviously I can't do all of it yet because I don't have the tiles, but we'll get started with just this part. I'm actually going to put a roundabout just here as well. Cool. So now I think I want to deal with the water's edge because I'd quite like to have a main sort of road going along there as well. And we can also put a key on that as well. I'm actually going to bring the water back a little bit more and see if I can make just a bit of like a river shape coming up here. I don't think it'll eventually go anywhere, but you know, I like water and I like bridges. Okay, so let's now get this main road that goes along here. It's probably just going to be a narrow road, so we'll just do the regular 2-lane. I think that's good for the moment. Let's get in here with our keys. If I can even do it. Oh, I haven't even unlocked it. Is that new? I seem to remember that being unlocked right from the start, but maybe we'll have to put that in later once we level up. That's a bit annoying. That's okay, we can get the rest of the road in here anyway. Let's upgrade this to be a little covered bridge. I think that'll look quite cool, especially for a small town, which is what we're working on at the moment. And then let's extend this road all the way up to the main part. Oh, that's still a bridge. Don't want that. And we'll just bend that in. There we go. I'm now just going to use Road Builder to... Oh, I actually already got it there. I was going to say I was going to create a road that's the same width, you know, as your normal 2-lane roads, but without the marking in the middle, which I have right here. And I just think for, you know, a small sort of town or back alleys, it looks really good. So, you know, I can place it down and show you here. You know, it's basically the exact same, but without that marking. And I think it's quite good for this sort of thing. So we're essentially going to use that to create our grid pattern, essentially. But I'm first going to put a bit of a main road coming up here as well. Put this road in, but I might leave this sort of area open actually because it might work well for like a school area or maybe some of our city services. So I'm not going to actually fill this in with a grid, which I was originally planning on doing. Now we're going to come in with some actual alleyways to finish off the grid. So here we have the first iteration of the road network. Obviously a lot of this could change, especially when we start plopping in some city services or, you know, signature buildings. But I think it's a good start. I now probably want to get some industrial road layout, or a bit of an industrial road layout going as well. So let's do that now. It's not going to be very big to start off with, and once again, this could definitely change in future, but most of it's going to be made out of the no lane marking roads as well. And I'm also not going to touch the train stuff in this episode, but we're just going to keep that in mind, that that is there. Going to have the main road for it coming just off here. And let's shoot that right up. Now this is on a bit of a hill as well, which I didn't quite realize. Hopefully they'll all zone in okay anyway. That's worth keeping in mind. I also do want to look at the wind direction, as I did not look at that earlier. Air pollution. Oh, perfect. So the wind is actually blowing into the hill. So yeah, this is definitely the ideal spot to put this. And I don't think the industrial area creeping up on the hill is that big of a deal. I think that could look quite good actually. Get a couple alleyways in here. Not sure if this hill's too steep. 7%. That's quite a bit, especially for some heavy trucks, but let's pop it in anyway. That's not too bad. I think this could use a roundabout. Let's not put a tree in the middle of it. Let's put some concrete so that trucks can go straight over it if they need to. Classic truck drivers. And there we have it. I think that's good enough to start zoning in at least. We'll just chuck a couple cul-de-sacs in here. This will probably be extended later, but we'll put a cul-de-sac there for the moment. Same with over here. And there we go. I think that's a pretty good start. Obviously I need to level up so that I can actually upgrade this key wall down here. And when I do that, I'll try and decorate it a bit, make it look nice. But I think it's time to start zoning. So let's get in here. And I need to actually put some thought into this because I didn't really know what sort of style I'm going for. I do have plenty of region packs downloaded, as you can see. I've also downloaded some custom assets, so we'll see if any of them sort of pop up. So when I think about the zoning, I definitely want some of the commercial assets along the water here, so definitely going to put some of that in. I think I want some row homes in here as well to really boost the population once we get started, and I think a good spot would be probably along this main road here, along Highland Street. Maybe a few in here as well, but pretty much everything else is just going to be low density residential. When we talk about which packs, I do really like the USA Southwest low density pack. I think there's some really nice houses in there, and of course just the North American waterfront and regular are both pretty good. So to get started, that's probably mainly what I'm going to use, is those four. It is along the water, so we'll get started with some waterfront North American. We'll also put a bit at some of the intersections, so, you know, up here maybe. I'm going to try and leave the main road free for the moment, because I'm not sure what sort of style I want it to be, whether it's going to be, you know, the main town road, or whether it is going to stay, you know, more of a highway. Not too sure yet. now that we got that in, I'm also going to put some industrial zoning in, just so that, you know, we can get that started at the same time. Now, I do have a mod that splits out the industrial zoning into these 4 different types, which I think is quite good. So I'm going to try and put the warehousing stuff and the, you know, the low, the light industrial manufacturing a bit closer to the town, and then the heavier stuff can be further in, you know, towards the mountains. I think that makes quite a bit of sense. So let's put some big warehouses, you know, around here. I'm not going to zone it all in just yet because I want to sort of control it a bit. And we also just won't have the demand for it right away. So they'll pop up, you know, potentially in some weird places if I do that. And to be honest, I think that's probably enough to get started. So with all that being done, oh, we also need some electricity and water. Let's get that in first too before I hit play. So like I said, I do have an outside connection of the high voltage power line just here. So we could import electricity, you know, if we set up a transformer. I think it'd be good to create our own electricity because then we could also export it as well. So I think going down the wind turbine route is probably not a bad idea. Let's see what we get if we put them up on the hill. It's only 2.5 up here in some places. How about this hill over here? Oh, that's even worse. Wow. Not sure why there's not much wind. I mean, we're right on the ocean and, you know, there's no mountains that way, so this is quite unusual. That's really quite interesting. We might actually have to go down the coal power plant route, because we're just, you know, the most I can get up here is about 4-ish, 4.5. And that's really not ideal when you're spending as much as you are on wind. So, you know, maybe we destroy the planet and go for coal instead. What I'm actually going to do is get rid of this cul-de-sac. And I'm going to chuck the coal power plant right in there. We'll use some anarchy. And so we've also got to hook this up, so let's extend the road just a bit. And let's get some underground power lines hooked up as well. Might not put them underground. Let's keep them above ground. I think that looks a bit better. And we'll just follow the outline of our tile, I guess. And there we go. We've got our outside connection. So hopefully, you know, this will produce a lot of power, especially early on. This will be a lot more than we need. So we should be able to export some of that and get a bit of funds coming in, actually, which is handy early game. And that, of course, functions as a transformer as well, so it converts it into the low voltage, which we need. Cool. So let's do water and sewage. Now, the first decision we need to make is where to pump our poop. Obviously, we can put it into this lake sort of thing here, or we can dump it straight into the ocean. I think over this side is going to be a bit better. I don't really, you know, this is our main street. I don't really want to put the sewage pipe anywhere down this way, so let's get it over here. I was hoping to turn this into a bit of a nice beach eventually. Not sure if I'll do that. I mean, we've got plenty of spots to do that if we do want to. So I think putting it in here is not too bad of an idea to start off with. Let's put it right there. And of course, hook up that to the main road. This is a highway, so it doesn't come with the pipes, but I can just extend that. That's going to annoy me, so I'm actually going to get rid of that part. What's happening there? Oh, I guess because it's the water pipe. Maybe if we replace this with just the sewage pipe, that'll get rid of that. There we go. That icon was going to annoy me. So we have that. Now we just need to get some water into the city, and we'll probably, seeing as we have access to this water, we'll get a pumping station. Oh, maybe on this little island. That could be cool. Although it does need road access, so keep that in mind. Also, the depth of the water actually makes a difference too, so that's another thing I need to consider. I think we can run a little road out here. And there we go. If we put the pumping station in the middle, we get the maximum water output. So that is perfect. And we've leveled up. There we go. Milestone 1, tiny village. Perfect. Unlocked a bunch of stuff. A lot of this is just custom assets from the PDX mods. Might as well upgrade this to an alley as well. Oh, on the ground though. Perfect. There we go. So we've got water and we've got sewage and of course power. So let's hit play and watch some of this get zoned in. We've actually unlocked medium density housing already with that upgrade. So we could actually put our row houses in now as well, which is probably a good idea. So let's get started on that. Now, in terms of row houses, I really, really like the Southwest pack. So I'm going to be using a lot of those. There we go, let's hit play again. And we'll actually speed it up a bit this time. Now I'm going to just turn down the budget for some of our city services, you know, just until we get a bit more money coming in, because we have basically nothing at the moment. Electricity can definitely be put all the way down. Even though we'd be exporting a bit of it, I still think putting it down is probably beneficial. I don't think you make a direct profit on what you produce when it comes to, you know, the upkeep of the coal power plant, so we'll turn it down. Same with the water. And of course, healthcare, we actually need to get in pretty early because citizens are already unhappy with the healthcare. But let's hit play again and, you know, let some of these buildings fully spawn. I can unlock advanced road services though, which is great because that means we can put the keys along the river, or, you know, lake, I guess. So let's get our keys and just follow the water line and place them in. Hopefully, okay, I might need to do some terrain editing first, so let's get in and do that. Let's just bring it down to this level and take it all the way up. And we might as well do it all the way along while we're at it. We've actually got some more industrial demand already, so this apparently wasn't enough. So let's get a bit more in out the back here maybe. So we are still losing money, so it's probably a good idea to get healthcare in while we've got the funds for it, and also some garbage management too. I'm actually going to start with placing a small cemetery. Not sure where a good spot for this would be. So what I'm going to do is just put a little alleyway sticking out over here. I'm going to have to demolish that building. Actually, let's put it on this side. And that hasn't left enough space. Damn. I guess it's goodbye to you. And there we go. That is absolutely awful. I don't know what that's done. I think it's just extended the surface. I think the actual... I don't mind having a bit of a cliff there, but maybe if I put a key wall, that could solve the problem. Bit better. This road is very wonky. Maybe I should just fix that up. I'm not sure if I like this at all, to be honest. I think I'm just going to lower the terrain a bit here. It's just too hilly with this sort of curvature coming in, so let's fix that up. And I'll also just fix this surface. So I've actually kept the surface quite small and confined to the cemetery, but I've just put some trees around it, and I think that's a bit of a nicer area for this sort of thing. Now let's look at getting some sort of clinic or hospital into the town as well. I do have a mod for a rural medical clinic, and I do really like this asset, and I think it would look quite good here, but I think the town will quite quickly outgrow that sort of look, especially if I get any medium density sort of, not skyscrapers, but taller buildings in here. I think it won't fit that well. The Southwest Medical Clinic I do love the look of, but the footprint of it is just a bit big, I think. So I'm probably going to go with the small medical clinic, and I can actually sort of squeeze it in here just by the water there. We'll come in and detail all this a bit later, but that'll at least get some ambulances roaming around the city, which we do need because people were still complaining about it with the unreliable healthcare coverage. So hopefully that increases some happiness and we get a few more people in here, because there's still a bit left that I've zoned that needs to be filled in. So let's see what happens. Once again, I need more industrial zone already, so I'm just going to zone a whole bunch of this in. Also, before I forget, I'm going to turn that healthcare budget down all the way. And our garbage management. Now that I think about it, this does seem to be the wrong townhouses. This is not what I was thinking. I think the zones that I actually enjoy are the northeast. So maybe let's get some of those in and just check. Put some in here before they get built as well. Another thing I'd like to do is actually get some farmland in here, because I believe if we have a look at the farming, yes, this is all, you know, very fertile land, so it'd be good to get some farms, especially around this entrance part to the town. I think it's a really good sort of gradient from countryside, you know, into town. So let's get started with some, you know, in this area here. There we go, just got some basic sort of dirt roads out here. Now let's put some farms in as well. Gonna start with some wheat up here in this corner. Farm 1. Farm 2. Do need to fix the terrain here a bit because that is quite the drop off. Don't think wheat grows like that, to be honest. Much better. We'll get some vegetable farming in here. Get one up here too. I think that's good for that area. Now let's do a couple down here as well. Although the ground isn't quite as fertile down here, so maybe we'll put some livestock. I think that's quite a good idea. It's a bit of fertile ground in here, so I might as well put some grain farming in here. Well, actually, we'll do some vegetables. There we go. Finally, let's get some forestry industry as well, because we've got a lot of trees up here on the hill and it's a good way to make use of that. Can bring it right up against the boundary as well. Let's put one down here as well. Looking good. Tractors can drive up that, can't they? And there we go. Milestone 2. Small village. Perfect. Got a few custom assets. Not too interested in those for the moment. If we have a look at what we've unlocked, we've firstly got the production panel, which is very useful, so we can see how much we're exporting and producing in general. And then we've unlocked quite a few medium density housing options, you know, so we can start getting some apartments in here. And also education. That's a pretty important one. Because I think in this episode I would like to get at least a primary school, or an elementary school, I should say, into the town. I think I'll leave the high school for a future episode, but we can get started on that. Although if we look at our eligibility, we really don't have the demand for schools just yet. So I might actually hold off on putting that down for the moment. And what I'm actually going to do is decorate some of these farms and get them looking a bit better. So we'll start by coming in with some surfaces. This is a livestock field, so I don't really like having the, the grainy texture for livestock. I don't think it makes much sense. So we're going to go with a grass texture, and I'm just going to follow the outline of the farm area. And there we go. Now we've got a nice green field for our animals. Just as I was placing some bushes around, we did start getting some water problems, so I believe we probably need to turn up our budget. So let's just do that. Water, let's reset that back to 100. But there we go. I think those fields are looking much better now that they have some surfaces and some trees sort of, separating them almost like a border. I think it's a very easy way to make farms look good. I do just want to fix the terrain in here a bit because that is very steep drop off. Same up here. Okay, so as you can see, we're actually having a couple of problems right now. Firstly, we don't have a landfill or recycling center or anything, so we're actually getting some garbage buildup at the coal power plant. So we'll need to deal with that. And we also have a worker shortage over in the industrial area, which I thought was quite strange, seeing as we had so much demand for them to be built in the first place. But potentially some of these farms have been stealing some of those jobs. I'm not too sure. So I just want to address those two issues, and then we're probably going to end the episode there. So firstly, let's get the garbage situation sorted out. I do have a rural recycling center downloaded, which I do quite like. The problem is I do feel like it's cheating because, to get the normal recycling center, you have to go through, the progression nodes and actually unlock it. Whereas for the rural run, you don't even have to do that. So I think I am going to go for a landfill. Obviously, I can't really fit this into my tile, so we might actually purchase this tile heading up into the valley, because then we could put the recycling center just on this lane here, and it could sort of wiggle in behind this mountain here, which I think could look pretty good. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll plop the landfill right in here. I'm going to need to use anarchy because of that cul-de-sac. Let's put it there. And then let's just sort of follow the terrain up, I guess. One thing I am going to do is actually lower this a bit, just to make it seem like there's a bit of a hole there, rather than it's just climbing up the hill. There we go. I think that's a pretty good spot, and that should definitely deal with this garbage problem. So finally, I just want to fill out this grid here and get some zoning in, you know, just to boost the population a bit. I realized that this residential area doesn't look too good early on, but I'm thinking next episode we can focus on this part of town and actually making it look a bit better. So let's get some roads in here. Firstly, going to put some sort of a main road, just shooting up the middle here. Here we go, I've gone through and done a bit of a layout. I have also turned some of the back laneways into one-ways with parking, and some of these just one-way roads with no parking. I should have done that in this part as well, but I forgot to. So I might go back through here next episode and fix that up. But I think we're ready to do some zoning in here. There we go, I've zoned all that in, so let's hit play and watch it all fill in. Alright, so with the population increasing and our money still going up, I'm happy to end this episode here, I think. So in the next episode, what we're going to be doing is essentially revamping this town part and just making it look a whole lot better. Obviously, we need to get some more city services in there, such as a school, and we want to make that look good, so that is going to be the primary focus of that episode. I think this episode is a really good baseline for just supporting the town. Because we've got the industrial area set up and of course all these farms out here. So we're in a pretty good place to start spending some money and really, you know, increasing our population and just making things look a whole lot better. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit a like on it. You obviously lasted all the way to the end, so I really appreciate that. Also drop a comment down below and just let me know what you think of this start to a city. What are some things I could do better? What are some things you like about it? Just that sort of thing. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.